Hey, good Thursday morning, everyone. This is Joe. Welcome to my scripture reflection for Thursday, April the 6th, otherwise known as Holy Thursday. We will talk about the gospel where Jesus washes the feet of the disciples. And then we will talk about a little bit about how we can look into this gospel and then feed it into our minds and hearts so that we can offer more compassion to the world. I hope that your Thursday is starting off in a beautiful way, and hopefully we can now continue that with the scriptures that I'll ask you to quiet your minds and hearts as we listen to St. John chapter 13, verses 1 through 15. Before the feast of Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to pass from this world to the Father. He loved his own in the world, and he loved them to the end. The devil had already induced Judas, son of the Simon the Iscariot, to hand him over. So during supper, fully aware that the Father had put everything into his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God, he rose from supper and took off his outer garments. He took a towel and tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and dry them with the towel around his waist. He came to Simon Peter, said to him, "Master, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered and said to him, "What I am doing you did not understand now, but you will understand later." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "Unless I wash you, you will have no inheritance with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Master, then not only my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus said to him, "Whoever has bathed has no need except to have his feet washed, for he is clean all over. So you are all clean, but not all." For he knew who would betray him. For this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." So when he had washed their feet and put his garments back on and reclined at table again, he said to them, "Do you realize what I have done for you? You call me teacher and master, and rightly so, for indeed I am. If I, therefore, the master and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do." So back in these days in Palestine, whenever people came to have a supper, their feet were quite dirty because the roads were dusty and muddy and all kinds of horrible things. They had no cars. Believe it or not, they didn't even have cell phones. Could you imagine that? But in any event, having no cars, they had to walk the whole way. And when they came to the place where they were going to have this dinner, servants would wash their feet. Well, Jesus decided, no, the servants aren't doing it today, I am. So with a example set, he said, well, listen, the highest person here, being me, is going to do the lowest person's responsibility. And therein lies, example number one for you and I, that there is nothing below us when it comes to service to one another and offering compassion. There is nothing too small for us to do, and every act means something. Putting this into practice, you can look into your most intimate relationships, your spouse, your best friend, whatever it might be, and say, yeah, for a while I've been saying, yeah, this job isn't for me. Well, maybe now it is. Maybe that opens up new levels of compassion between you. Also, branching it out to others, strangers. Just the other night, I came back on the red eye, which is not an easy thing to do. But I did it because I wanted to get back home and save the whole day. The flight attendant, who was on the flight in the cabin where I was amazing in his level of service. Amazing. He was just the most joyous, most helpful person there could be. Now, usually, me and everyone else, we run off the plane. But I stopped, and I said to him, "Thank you so much. You made that flight so much more enjoyable for me, and I really appreciate everything you did." And he just smiled at me. And as I walked off the plane, I said, I need to do more of this. I need to do more acts like this every day, not just once in a while. And yes, maybe even to the person who didn't offer you the best service. How about that for reaching out? And then Jesus washes the feet of the disciples, and he gives them an example. Well, my friends, that example is there for you and I as well. As he concludes this gospel, he doesn't do as he does in others, where he makes us think about it. He clearly tells us what we are to do. He clearly tells us that we are given an example by him, and we are to do the same for others. What does that mean? That means branching out our compassion to where maybe it hasn't been in our life, to those who harm us, to maybe four-legged creatures who we haven't offered compassion to in the past, and branching out and looking into our life and doing that much more in our levels of service. My friends, I always tell you in the Gospels there's so much to unpack. I've given you a few things to consider in this Gospel of the washing of the feet. It is a powerful one. There are many messages, but hopefully you can take what I've given you into your day, into your life, and be consistent at making some adjustments into your daily routines to offer positive service and compassion to others. Well, my friends, I thank you always for following me. I thank you for listening in. I welcome your comments, your questions. I thank you always for all that you do for one another, because what we are seeking to do is make this a more compassionate world for all creation. And this gospel certainly helps us. Have a great Thursday, everyone, and I'll see you back here tomorrow, but I will be recording earlier than 7:30 Eastern Time. Take care, everyone.